Hello students, in this video of ours, we are going to learn about cell, the basic structural and fundamental unit of life, what is its structure, how it was discovered, what are the different components which are present in it, and what are the functions of these organelles and how exactly this cell is working in our body and in a unicellular organism which is having only one cell. So all these secrets we are going to unfold in this video of ours, wherein we are going to learn about the structure of the cell. And this is the branch of biology which is called cytology. So cytology is a branch of biology wherein we study about the cell. So cell, the unit of life, because whether the thing is living or non-living, it is decided by whether the cells are present or not. Because macromolecules, big chemical molecules, they are present in non-living things also. But it is only when these macromolecules, these biomolecules, they are covered by a cell wall or plasma membrane, the membrane, then only the cell is formed. And if cell is present, then only we call that thing living. So that's why the cell can be rightly called the unit of life. It is the unit of life. If cells are present, the thing is living. And if cells are not present, the thing is not. Now what is the cell? The cell is the fundamental structure and functional unit. Fundamental structure means the smallest structure and the functional unit also. It is performing all the functions in unicellular organisms. For example, amoeba. One cell is performing all the functions, whether it is digestion, whether it is circulation, whether it is excretion, respiration, everything, all life processes are performed by single cell. So the cell is the fundamental structure and functional unit of all living beings. All living things are made up of one or more cells. If they are made up of one cell, they are called unicellular organisms. And if they are made up of many cells, they are called multicellular organisms. Every cell has its own life. It's not that cells are for permanent. They are having their life. Old and weak cells are in our body, they continuously die and they are replaced by new cells. You all must be knowing that we all are the whole body of Earth, which is consisting of billions and trillions of cells. Now, it was one cell, zygote. So all organisms, they are made up of, they start their life from one cell, that is zygote. And this zygote, after multiplication, increase in the number of cells, and the whole body is formed. The growth and development takes place by increasing the number of the cells and by differentiating into different tissues, organ system. The division of labor is there in multicellular organisms. So old and weak cells in the body, they continuously die and they are replaced by the new cells. All organisms, including ourselves, we start life as a single cell, that is called zygote. Cells are so small, they are microscopic, we cannot see them with our naked eye, like we cannot see our cells. But if you are wiping your face, if you are cleaning your face or wiping your face with a towel, a rough towel, then there are thousands of cells in your towel. So you cannot see, they are microscopic. Now the discovery of cell depended on the invention of the microscope, because when there were no microscope, nobody knew about cells because nobody can see the cells. The first microscope was constructed by Dutch scientist, that is Antony van Leeuwenhoek, and all his microscopes were consisting of only single biconvex lens, and they were called simple microscopes. Simple means only consisting of only one type of lens. So they were simple microscopes. And some of these microscopes had a considerable magnifying power up to 200 times. That means if you can magnify the object which you are keeping under the microscope up to 200 times. So this was the Leeuwenhoek simple microscope. This is Leeuwenhoek. Now after this, the Robert Hooke, he was an English scientist. He developed a microscope by using two cell microscope for achieving greater magnification, and these microscopes were later known as compound microscopes. Now Hooke examined a thin slice of cork. Cork is the thing which we cover the bottles. So dead cells are there, dead cells of bark, tree bark. So these dead cells were there, and he examined this slice of cork under his microscope, and he noted that there are small geometrical shapes which he named as cells. Because why cells? Because they reminded him of the small room, bilkul small rooms, the compartments. That's why he called them cells. So this was the Hooke's microscope and compound microscope, and this is the structure of the thin slice of the cork which he observed under his microscope. So he saw this structure, the compartments, small compartments. Now an ordinary compound microscope is greatly improved now, and the original one, Hooke's microscope, it is very different from the original Hooke's microscope. So this is the latest compound microscope what you are having in your laboratory. The biology lab, we are having that only. Then there is another advanced microscope which is electron microscope. Electron microscope is the microscope that uses a beam of accelerated electrons as a source of illumination. And here you can have the magnification up to 5 lakh times. But this electron microscope is not there in our laboratory. This electron microscope, with the help of this electron microscope, we can, the scientists, they came to know about the different organelles. Because under compound microscope, you can see only the membrane and the nucleus. All other components, organelles of the cell, they were discovered only after the discovery of the electron microscope. So Ruska and Max Knoll built the first electron microscope in 1931, and for this the subsequent work on the subject, the Ruska was awarded Nobel Prize for Physics in 1986. Now these are the different types of electron microscope: transmission electron microscope, TEM, and scanning electron microscope, that is SEM. See the structure of the pollen grain under the electron microscope. So this is the clarity of electron microscope. The Hooke saw this. There were two biologists, Sheldon and Chavan. One was zoologist and one was botanist. And they both worked on separately. They were not working together. They were working separately, and they came with the that all organisms are composed of one or more cells. So both of them, they work separately, and then together they form the cell theory. So what cell theory we have today is given by the Sheldon and Chavan, and they said that all organisms, whether they are plants or animals, they are composed of one or more cells. And the cell is the basic unit of life in all living things. If the thing is living, the cells are bound to be there. Now, one more thing is added into this cell theory of the which was given by the Sheldon and Chavan, and that was given by the Virchow, and he said that all cells which are present, they are produced by the division of the pre-existing cells. Like from where these cells have come? These cells have come by the division of the pre-existing cell. One cell is there, it is dividing, then giving the new cells. So he added one more thing in the cell theory, that all cells which are produced, they are produced by the division of the pre-existing cells. So now we have these three things in the cell theory, that all organisms are composed of one or more cells. The cell is the basic unit of life in all living things, and all these cells, they are produced by the division of the pre-existing cells. So these are the three. This is Chilton, this is Jevon, and this is Virchow, Rudolf Virchow. Now the cells, how many cells? Some living things such as bacteria, amoeba, euglena, volva, they are having only one cell in their body, and they are called unicellular organisms. Other organisms, they are having many cells in their body, such as tree, butterflies, dog, cat, human being, all are having many cells in their body, and they are called multicellular organisms. Now, how small is the cell? The cell can be big, the cell can be small, but the smallest cell is the mycoplasma, a parasitic bacterium which live in the primate bladder, waste disposal organs, genital and respiratory tract, is thought to be the smallest known organism. So mycoplasma is the smallest known organism which is capable of independent growth and reproduction. So this is the smallest cell. And the largest cell which is found in the nature so far is the ostrich egg. So ostrich egg we all can see with our naked eyes. So that cell is very big, and that is ostrich egg is the largest cell. Now the nerve cells are the longest cells. They are very long because of their branches. The dendrites are there, axons are there, so they are long. So nerve cells are the longest cells. The longest of the nerve cells in any species are to be found in colossal squid, with some nerve cells estimated to be over 10 meters in length. So these are the interesting facts about the cells. The largest cell in the human body is the ovum. In our body, if you see, the egg cell is the largest cell, roughly 1 millimeter in diameter, and just visible to the naked eye. The smallest cell in the human body is the sperm, which is 60 micrometers in length and not visible by the naked eye. The longest cell is neuron, which can be over a meter long and links the brain and other parts of the body. Now, why are cells so small? They have found out that the cells are bound, they should be small only because it is a practical necessity which is arising from the decrease in the surface area to volume ratio of any object as it increases in size. So, as the size of the organisms are increasing, the surface area to volume ratio is increasing. So as the object increases its volume, its surface area also increases, but not so quickly. So this phenomena has biological significance for two reasons. The volume of the cell determines the amount of the metabolic activity it carries out per unit of time, because all metabolic activities are carried out by the cell only. And the surface area of the cell determines the amount of substances that can enter it from outside environment and the amount of waste products that can exit to the environment, because the materials are coming into the cell and going out. So that depends, the in and out, the transport of the things from into the cell and out of the cell depends on the surface area, and the volume is for the metabolic activity. So here they have compared that if the larger surface area compared with volume, so this is the surface area, this is the volume, and how it matters for a larger body. Now, cells are of different shapes as per their functions. So we will discuss about some cells like human red blood corpuscles. They are circular and biconcave. Now, why they are biconcave? To pass through narrow capillaries, because blood has to pass through the capillaries, the blood vessels, the arteries, the veins and the capillaries. So when they are passing through the narrow capillaries where the arteries and veins are joining together, these capillaries are very narrow. So to pass through the narrow capillary and transport oxygen. White blood corpuscles are amoeboid with pseudopodia, amoeboid like shape with pseudopodia, so that they can change shape. Why? Because the white blood corpuscles are our army. Whenever there is any foreign material, whenever there is any foreign microorganism, they engulf that microorganism. They eat that microorganism. So to do that, they should have amoeboid shape and pseudopodia. Nerve cells are long and elongated because they have to conduct the impulse from one part to the different part. Muscle cells are long, spindle-shaped, contractile, because muscles are having contractile proteins. They have to contract and relax so that we can have the movement. Then guard cells, the stomata, they are bean-shaped because they have to open and they have to close. That's why they are bean-shaped. So depending on the function of the cell, what function that cell is performing, the shapes of the cells are different. See, this is the RBC, biconcave shape. Then this is WBC, amoeboid shape. Then this is muscle cell. Muscle cell is having spindle, the spindle type of shape. Then this is stomata, bean shaped, guard cells. And this is nerve cell, which is long and branched. So depending on the function, the shapes of the cells are different. Now, what is the structure of the cell? So first of all, we should know what is the cell. The cell is when it is bounded by a membrane. That is called cell. So the cell, if we see the cell, it can be divided into two major things. One is cell boundary, that is the cell wall or the cell membrane or both, and the protoplasm. Now protoplasm is the term which is given to the cytoplasm and the nucleus. So cytoplasm is there and the nucleus is there. That is called protoplasm. So cell boundaries can be cell wall, cell membrane. And protoplasm is having cytoplasm and nucleus. Now inside the cytoplasm we find many organelles. So different types of components are present. They are called cellular organelles. So the cellular like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body. So these all are organelles which are present in the cytoplasm. Then there are vacuoles which are present. What are vacuoles? Vacuoles are the empty spaces to store anything. They are also present in the cytoplasm. Then there are cytoplasmic inclusions which are present in the cytoplasm. Now these cellular organelles can be membrane bound, can be membraneless. So the organelle can have membrane, they may not have membrane. So the organelles which are having double membranes, they are mitochondria and plastids. And the organelles which are having single membrane are endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus and lysosome. And there are certain organelles which are membraneless. For example, ribosome and centrosome. So they are not having any membrane. The cells can be divided into two different types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Now prokaryotic are the primitive cells where you will not find any membrane bound organelle. You will not find nucleus, a proper well-defined nucleus. And eukaryotic are the cells which are advanced cells and they are having the membrane bound organelles and a well-defined nucleus. So if we see the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic, DNA is what? DNA is the genetic material which is present inside the nucleus. But in prokaryotes, because the nucleus is not present, DNA is naked. and DNA is circular and usually no introns. Whereas in eukaryote, DNA is bound to protein, DNA is linear state and usually has introns. Organelles in case of prokaryotes, there is no nucleus, no membrane bound organelles are present, and here the ribosomes are having 70 S units. The ribosomes are having 2 units, we will see. So the smaller unit of ribosome, that is 70 S, is present in the prokaryote. And in case of eukaryotes, they have a well-defined nucleus. The membrane-bound organelles are present, and there the ribosome is of bigger unit, that is 80S. Now, if we see the reproduction, the binary fission or single chromosome is present, that is haploid, and here in eukaryotes, the division can be mitosis, division can be meiosis, and chromosomes are paired. Average size of prokaryotes are very small, whereas in case of eukaryotes, the size of the cell is bigger. Now let's see the diagram of prokaryotes and eukaryote. If we compare, this is the eukaryotic cell. In this is prokaryotic. So in prokaryotic, you will not find the membrane-bound organelles. Like here, you can find the mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body. These are not found here. But ribosomes you will find in both because ribosomes don't have membrane. Then in case of prokaryotes, you will find membrane and cell wall in some, not in all, you will find. And here you will find the nucleoid region. Now what is this nucleoid region? This is the region where the genetic material is lying naked. Like the genetic material is not covered by the nucleus. Here you will find in eukaryotic, you will find a well-defined nucleus, and inside the nucleus you will find the genetic material. So this is the difference between the eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic